This is Detective Comics number 1085, which came out on Tuesday, May 28th, 2024. Or, some shops don't have them till Wednesday. And DC is actually going back to a Wednesday release date, I believe this month or next month. Anyways, I didn't get this until yesterday, June 4th, 2024. Because when I went to my local shop on, I think it was on Wednesday, they were sold out of it. So I went to another local shop, and I think this was the last copy on the shelf. But anyways, I've reviewed the previous two issues of this series on my YouTube channel. So if you're interested, check that out. There will be some spoilers as I show the issue. I'm not going to show every single page because obviously that's not, I don't have the copyright. And so we're just sort of going to give a general review here. Overall, I enjoyed the issue. The artwork is very different than the previous couple issues. It has much more of a cartoonier style, I guess, sort of like a Mike Allred style, or that type of thing. It is by Stefano Raffaele. Whoops, there's the credits there. And Ram V, as always, has written the issue. This is Gotham Nocturne Act 3 Crescendo Part 2. Now, the funny thing about this is that with a different art style, it kind of makes me wonder how, all this looks when it's all collected. I mean, does it look disjointed to people? Because Part 1 had a totally different art style. It was much more cinematic looking, I think. This one, as you can see, it's more traditional comics looking. Now, the weird thing about this too is that as I was reading along, I wasn't paying too much attention to all these little, the panels up here. I just noticed that Batman, his costume looked different. And as you go along, his face had like these markings on it. And, the bat looks really weird on his chest. And his cape is very tattered and flowing, So I was like, well, when did this happen? I mean, he didn't look that way in the previous issue. He looked like himself. Here's another example of how he looks. Now he loses the cape. The cape serves a purpose because when Mr. Freeze freezes him, he thinks he's got him. But it turns out, he says, it's just the cape inside the iceberg. And then that's when Batman attacks him. Now, to me, I was like confused, when I saw this, because I was like, when did this happen? But then after going back, to the beginning, because this part continues from last issue, where Catwoman goes to meet the Joker. That was how the last issue ended. Although, I don't think she looks very much like Catwoman here. If you said to somebody, identify that character, I don't think they would say, oh yeah, that's Catwoman. She just doesn't look like Catwoman to me. That is supposed to be Catwoman, right? I mean, because that was who was going to meet with the Joker before. And he mentions cats and things like that. So anyways, I don't get that. But otherwise, the art looks good. But like I said, so I was confused about the costume change and the thing on his face until I went back to these panels and was like, okay, for some reason, he's adding these markings to his face and his body. He's wrapping these, wraps around his fingers and arms. And for some reason, he's gone to the trouble of making a new bat design. So I don't know what that is all about. Because obviously this isn't going to be permanent, and it just looks weird. It looks more like a supernatural type look. So I didn't like the lead story as much as I had liked the lead story in previous issues. It's all right, but this whole costume thing and the stuff with Mr. Freeze doesn't really go much of anywhere. So I was less impressed with the lead story. On the other hand, I really enjoyed the backup. Now, I didn't feel that way when I first saw it. I had read the lead story. I got to the backup. I was like, well, that art doesn't look, that spectacular either. It doesn't look as good as the art that preceded it. So I had gotten to about like page 2, and then I set it aside. I said, well, I'll come back to this, So later I came back to the backup story and read it, all the way through. And it was actually an interesting story. I thought it was, I liked the backup more than I liked the lead story. Basically, it's about this woman who's befriended Mr. Freeze at the very beginning of his career when he was Mr. Zero, because that's how he was referred to when he was first introduced back in the day. And she protects him from the police, and she has this idea of like, protest police corruption and things like that. She's trying to. He feels like, I guess, that she's on his side, and so the thing is, these are flashbacks of like earlier, when he had protected her during the Gotham Cataclysm, I think is what it's called. Yeah, it's the See Batman Cataclysm. But the whole point of the story, though, is that when you go back and read it carefully, starting from the beginning again, is that he had asked to meet her, and he was going to use this weapon against Gotham to freeze everything that's talked about in the lead story. So it connects with the lead story. And he wanted her, I guess, advice, or he wanted some sort of assurance that, let's see if I can find the exact quote in here. But he basically wants to make sure that Gotham doesn't corrupt everything that it touches. But he finds out through the course of this, here we go. He says, "You've never been afraid of me. I need you to convince me that the city doesn't just sicken and," it's hard to read at this light that I'm reading it, "that just doesn't sicken and corrode everything it touches." So that's, but unfortunately for her, and for Gotham, I guess, he's disappointed by her finding out that now she's a lobbyist. She has sort of changed her views from back when she was younger. She's much older now, and she wants something from him, which is the elixir of youth. And you can tell from his pauses, he's very sort of disappointed that she's asking about that. He's disappointed. It sort of confirms his feeling that Gotham does sicken and corrupt everyone that it touches. So he gives her this formula, but it's not actually a formula of youth. And not to spoil the ending, but it doesn't end well for her. That's the Ramona Fradon tribute that's at the back of the issue. So that backup was a really thoughtful type story. I liked how it told. People talk about, comics writers today can't tell a story in a self-contained story and short story anymore. Well, let's see. That was probably 10 pages. Let's count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 pages. So it was a nice self-contained story, and it does connect with the lead story too, but you don't have to have read the lead story to understand it. And you don't have to have read the backup to understand the lead story. So I enjoyed the issue. I didn't enjoy it as much as I've enjoyed some of the previous issues recently, but that was primarily down to the artwork and the Batman's costume change. On the other hand, the artwork's not bad. It's just different than from what we were getting, the more realistic style we were getting in the previous issues. So overall, I enjoyed it. Do I recommend it? Sure. I recommend Detective Comics. I know some people don't like this whole story arc, and they're just waiting for Ram V to leave. But I'm enjoying it, and I enjoyed Mariko Tamaki's run before Ram V as well. I think Detective Comics has been good for a long time. So, sure, thumbs up from me. And I look forward to this finally coming to its conclusion, which it should be doing in about 4 issues. And we'll see what happens after that. So, overall, once again, a generally good issue of Detective Comics. We're worth $4.99. Yeah, I would think so. Because of all the pages you get, and you can tell that the artwork, despite being more simplified style, there's a lot of work that went into doing all that, and you get a lot of pages. So that's my review, Detective Comics number 1085. Thanks for watching.